Washington, D.C., November 9th, 1942. Lunchtime in Washington, D.C. An elegant restaurant filled with handcrafted wood features and murals that captured snapshots of American history. Thick, formal tablecloths. Heavy silverware so shiny it flared like muzzle flashes in the overhead lighting. Crystal glasses tinked as busboys refilled them with ice water. Dishes clattered. Tables were cleared. The restaurant hummed with impressive efficiency. The place was packed with the upscale D.C. set. The women looked immaculate. Tilt hats, pumps, batwing dresses, and nylon stockings. They sipped coffee and ordered $1.90 filet mignon. Major John Lucian Smith stared at his menu. A month ago, he was starving on captured Japanese rice on a remote Pacific island nobody in the restaurant had ever heard of until August. The National Geographic map, all the aircrew had before landing on it, called it Guadalcanal. The Japanese came to call it Starvation Island. He glanced up and his hazel eyes wandered the room, missing nothing. He was a meticulous man with hyper-aware senses that had kept him alive in the South Pacific. Now he couldn't shut them off. Officers in freshly pressed uniforms chatted with their companions, eating artfully plated food without giving it a second thought. Those men had no concept of what they would face when they went overseas. If they went overseas. One look was enough to convince John L. that some of these headquarters types would be content to fight the war from the banks of the Potomac. Starving in the jungle, racked by dysentery, malaria, and dengue fever. Men huddled in muddy foxholes, craving only a bit of normalcy. A cup of coffee, a bar of chocolate. Instead, dried fish and maggot-filled rice kept them alive. But being alive on that island wasn't really living. It was a test of survival instincts. "I'll have the coq au vin Fontainebleau," came a man's voice from a nearby booth. Yeah, these officers had no idea what they would face. The pre-war military had been almost a sort of country club for the commissioned class. Polo matches, lunchtime cocktails, and colonial largesse at postings in places like the Philippines. The Japanese demolished that mindset and killed anyone who clung to it in the first months of the Pacific War. John L. and the others had seen those types of officers fail in the clutch. More than one was shipped off the island, broken physically or psychologically, useless to their units. The others stood their ground, adapted, and rose to the challenge. War evolves men quickly to its realities. But Washington was clearly beyond the war's reach. John L. looked across his own table at the two men who had shared his summer ordeal. Marion Carl, a tall and lanky Oregon farm boy, sat beside Richard Dick Mangrum, whose red mustache was now tamed and trimmed. It had been a bushy caterpillar of a thing in the jungle, remarked on by all who wrote about him there. Dick sat rigidly, his spine straight, shoulders squared. Marion was, as usual, a bit more relaxed. Both were people-watching from behind cups of coffee.